NPR and their host, Steve Inskeep, for 30 years has been reading the Declaration of Independence on Independence Day. For 30 years. This year, they decided they were going to examine what equity meant. What did they mean by, like, was there equity? Was it equitable? Oh my God. Like, as you point out, for one day, can we just celebrate the founders and this great country that we're so lucky to be a part of? No, we cannot. We have to go back to where's the true equality, not just equality, but equity, and forget the founders. They were all a bunch of white guys who, had slaves. It's like, even yesterday when I was, putting together the abridged version of the Declaration, I'm thinking, in another world, people would say, oh, you've got to include something about the Native Americans, and you got to include the fact that, we had slavery, and the fact that women didn't have equal rights and couldn't even vote until the 1900s and so on. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. Not today. Not today. Right. Today, we're actually just going to celebrate Thomas Jefferson and little Ben Franklin, played by my son. And we're going to talk about the British. Like, that's what this day is about, but people can't do it, right? They got NPR switching and Orlando switching, and, the school board out in California doesn't want us to talk. The list goes on.
And there's an element of condescension to all of this. You see that particularly in comedy. Well, because we have to contextualize the Declaration of Independence for you as though you're not familiar with the conditions in which it was conceived. But they don't really trust you to have the right thoughts. You have to be properly educated. We see this most, illustratively in comedy, because when in my section of the book on comedy, there's a part on a popular view that was put into an essay form by this comedy critic named Seth Simons, who identifies the locus of the alt-right in a form of stand-up that was popular in the early 2000s called cringe humor. Now, if you were to give a clinical description of that kind of humor, it's very dark. Finds humor value in crimes, in racism, in sexism, and unspeakable misogyny, all this stuff that you would otherwise say you have to be a pretty bad person to tell that joke, much less enjoy it. But this is the essence of dark humor anywhere and everywhere. The course of human history is to find levity in the darkest parts of the human experience and laugh your way up the gallows steps. So he identifies this in the alt-right in the early 2000s, and that evolved subsequently into the riots at the Capitol building in January 6th. This black swan event somehow materializes out of a phenomenon that is not only not new, it's utterly unremarkable. But he doesn't think that the stand-ups that are out talking about these horrible conditions are going to act out the antisocial behaviors they're lampooning on stage, but you might. They don't know about you, and they're afraid of you, and they think you have to be properly educated as a result, or maybe even constrained in your capacity to act out these beliefs and these values. So there is an element, I think it's probably apparent throughout the book, but it's most apparent to me there that these people perceive themselves to be just a little bit better, a little bit more noble, certainly more capable of impulse control than you are. And so, yeah, I think that probably plays a significant part in this conception of yourself as more righteous than thou.
Oh gosh, this played out. I have got to play this clip. This was on social media over the weekend. This happened in Oregon. And honestly, it's kind of what you talk about in the book, how the woke were trying to out-woke the other woke. It happened on the street. I don't know what happened that led to this moment. I'm told by social media, the man was driving aggressively and cut off the woman who you're going to see in this clip. And the woman, we enter the dispute thanks to somebody's iPhone camera, when the woman's maintaining she was cut off, and the man is maintaining that she said to him, the man is a man of color. I don't know his ethnic background, but he's saying, you white lady told me to go back to where I came from. And she's kind of trying to deny she meant it the way he thinks. And so this to me is the woke trying to outwoke the woke. The guy's like, I got a card to play. She's like, I'm as woke as they come, and I'm not abandoning one inch of my wokeness, but I've got to handle this because I don't want to be Oregon Karen. So watch this.
She told me to go back to where I came from.
Your driving habits.
Do you see that?
Because we don't drive this way in Oregon. We're fucking kind and we make space.
Okay.
And as someone who's from here as well, I'm so tired of people driving like you just did. Admit you're fucking wrong and then it's not a race thing. Admit that you're driving.
Admit you're white. Admit you have a colonizer
It is
mindset.
not about race. Taking out your pain and oppression on me right now. If you want anything to change,
If you want, shut up. It's not on me to change. It's on you and your colonizer mindset. So get the
cannot make
fuck
all
out of
of
my
this.
face
You made a
now,
mistake
you
and
white lady. You white lady.
I'm as angry as you
Or I can
are.
get out of my face
And
because
then
I'm
when
done
you're wrong,
with this conversation.
Then you'd be walking
You
away.
fucking colonizer.
You know there's work to
You
be done
fucking,
here.
it's not on
You
me.
would walk
It's on
away
you
now.
and your people.
Everyone needs to hear how angry you are, but it's not about this. It's not about what
Get
just
out of my
happened.
face. Get out
Then
of my
drive
face, you
away.
fucking- Why can't you just walk? You're in my space. You're in my space.
You got in my space.
Get out.
That's
You're
why I
breathing
got
my
out of
air.
my
You
vehicle.
fucking colonizer. Get out of my face.
Drive away.
And don't give me those white tears and a fake white guilt and
not
a fake condescending
trying.
look.
There's
You don't know the
nothing-
pain of my people. So get out. Get out.
I'm going to stand here with you until you walk away. Because what you did was wrong, and then you made it about race.
It's amazing, Noah. So he's Native American. He's like, it looks like maybe he cut her off, and he's like, oh shit, but I've got a card to play, so back off. And he read her exactly right. He did have a card that would shut her up, but she's like, no, the video camera's rolling. I'm woke too. You are angry. You have every right to your anger, but it's really about something else. It's definitely, just for the record, it's not about me.
I mean, that's kind of a terrifying situation. And that, again, this is not an uncommon experience to have some sort of altercation with people on the road. But now it's imbued with, again, this sort of significance because people are using this language that is popular in the academy, that has the capacity to capture institutions. They know it's powerful, and they're using this language to seek personal advantage. That's as human as it gets. We've created this incentive structure to engage in this sort of behavior where nothing is mundane anymore. Everything has this roots in America's original sin. We literally, that traffic incident, you could trace that back to the Continental Congress, and the drafting of the Constitution. All of these things have culminated in this experience right here in this roadway. It's madness. But it provided that gentleman with personal advantage in a way that anybody anybody who's a self-interested animal would not deny, would have to appeal to that tool, that weapon, because it is so effective. And it's part of the reason why so many institutions have been captured by people who are manifestly unqualified to man them, to helm them, because the authority figures have lent so much gravity and weight to this set of linguistic signifiers, for lack of a better word, that open doors for them and that shut down opposition to them. They've created their own beds, and they're now forced to lay in it. And right now, as you said earlier, they're all sort of training fire on each other, in part because these are soft targets. That gives you the appearance of efficacy. It doesn't you no good to go after a hard target that doesn't move for you, and then you have to back off 3 days later and go find another target. So right now, the people most likely to genuflect before this movement are its focus. But there will be a day that comes when the Borg is successful. They've fully assimilated their own side, and they train their fire on harder targets. Hopefully, we can interrupt this perverse cycle before that materializes.
Are you tired of feeling like someone's always watching you on the internet? Maybe advertisers know a little bit too much about you, or you're concerned about the privacy of your identity? Using incognito mode will not solve the problem either. IPVanish VPN is here to protect your right to privacy and to help you stay anonymous online. IPVanish helps you safely browse the internet without exposing your private details to third parties. You can use IPVanish on your computer, tablet, phone, and when you use IPVanish, all of your data is encrypted. IPVanish makes you virtually invisible online. It's that simple. IPVanish is offering an incredible 70% off. 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's like getting 9 months for free. IPVanish is super easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button and you are instantly protected. Take your privacy back today with a brand rated 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. Go to ipvanish.com/Megyn and use that promo code MEGYN to claim your 70% savings. That's ipvanish.com/Megyn. ish.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.